Um, so again, I'll do the initial opening here. What we have is we call it back to basics. The whole idea of this is anybody who has questions, it's like iron sharpens iron. People have different opinions, different conversation pieces. We always love to just kind of rally around each other because this is a lonely industry, right? As you're an independent, it's a lonely industry. But as you learn to, partner with people, we got people all across the country here, so east, central, west. And I think it's really cool because everybody has different opinions on different products, platforms, and designs. But at the end of the day, as I always say, it's about taking care of the customer. So I gave everyone a good 10-minute leeway to think of any questions. So I'll open it up. If you don't have questions, I can dive into some things and kind of I could even continue along with the marketing stuff. So if you want to do a thumbs up for marketing stuff, if you want to do something different like illustration design, you guys let me know which way you want to roll. I'll give you a minute.
Okay. Phil, just to clarify, if I do the paid version of Loom, is that unlimited or is that still a time limit?
It's unlimited. So,
Okay.
um, the big thing, okay, thanks, Nick. The big thing is when you talk about Loom, um, it's also when you think about your clientele, it's an attention grabber. So the whole idea of Loom is really to shoot shorter videos. Like what I would do is so talk to someone if they didn't know how to run guaranteed death benefit options, then I can just send that to someone and they have a snapshot or a video. The funny part is that when you use Loom, you can see if someone has actually watched the video. So if they ask the same question again, I would say, well, did you watch the video? Already knowing that they didn't. But yeah, the if you so yeah, 7 minutes, two, four, six, let's see, one. I had some longer ones, um, four. But it is unlimited, so at least you see the longest one is 7 minutes so far. 9 minutes right there, 9 minutes right there. Um, so I haven't seen any restriction per se. Plus I think it's only like $30, something like that. So um it's not a huge cost per se. Like if I were let's rewind the times back where Phil just started Valor, right? And we want to say from the standpoint of marketing from an agent standpoint and marketing from an agency standpoint, I think there's some essentials that a lot of people seem to forget. Um, first and foremost, I think one of the biggest essentials, aside from like Office, right, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, whatever, would probably be like Zoom. So you could use whatever software you want, but Zoom seems to captivate the most people. You can build around it through Calendly. We have it for, our back office. It links up. The reason why I like Zoom is I can schedule the meetings, I can book the reminders. You guys would probably get reminders saying this is starting in an hour or stuff like that if you put it on your calendar. And then the big thing is that I can develop a marketing strategy from behind the scenes that if you join the meeting, then I would assume you like to hear what I talk about, so I can add you to the newsletter until once again you decide you want to unsubscribe or whatever. But this is probably the biggest and most important thing, especially if you do business across the country. Heck, even local. So I've done Zooms with people who live 45 minutes away because they'd rather just Zoom, versus, get in their car. So it is what it is. We are more of a technology-based, lifestyle at this point. But I can't take anyone seriously if I say I have a 45-minute stopping point. So, I don't know if I'm alone on that, but if I see the 45 minutes, I'm like, cheap, because it's like $150 for the year. So when you think about it, this is the first thing that I would always do from either my standpoint as an agency owner for training, teaching, whatever, but also for sales. Because, as we do these Zooms, as we do things like this, if you guys have been on prior Zooms before, I would do whiteboarding because I like to doodle and it just kind of helps me, even though the writing is worse than a doctor's handwriting. No offense to any doctors. But nonetheless, I think Zoom is probably the first and most important thing, especially if you're trying to do some type of presentations or sales meetings with people across the country, depending on your business model. The next one that I would say, that I think is really important, and this is kind of a toss-up. So I'll throw this out as a question, but how many people use DocuSign? Right? DocuSign is probably one of the best tools you could use in this virtual environment. So when you think about the idea of people who need to sign something quick, DocuSign is accepted. So again, I was with carriers for 15 out of 18 plus years. They don't take Adobe Signature. They don't take like I've seen one of those like Panda. They take DocuSign because it has that certificate of authentication. So oftentimes I'll have some of my agents will say, Phil, can you send this email to this client and this and that? I'm like, guys, you talk about deductions. These are all deductions for you to run a business. And if you write one turn case, just one, you can probably pay for your entire year subscription of Zoom and DocuSign. So I would say those are probably the first two things that anyone should have, especially when you're going into this independent space. Now, if you want to kick it up a notch, because I am not a marketer at heart, I am a trainer, teacher, coach, mentality. Some people will say, all right, focus on your weaknesses and turn them into strengths. I think that's a load of malarkey. I would
Absolutely.
rather yeah, exactly. I would rather continue to focus on my strengths and then on the flip side, farm out my weaknesses to someone else so I can create and continue to do what I do best. So from my standpoint, having a good CRM system to keep you on track with your process will help you in the long run. So, I'm going to give you a sneak peek behind the scenes of what we call lead base. This is a form of Go High Level. Go High Level is probably one of the most unique, very user-friendly um, systems. But the idea is how do you make your job easier? And you can do this by going to different locations. So there's HubSpot, Salesforce, whatever. But this is what we use. So the idea here, like I like from the marketing standpoint, is I can do all my social media posts from one spot. So if you are in the flavor of posting on social media to get your name out there, whether you're talking from a personal standpoint to try and gain clients, to the business standpoint for like stuff that I do from a recruiting standpoint, getting your name out there, visualizing and creating content to the fact that when you're not even working, you're still working. And you can create calendars for this. But what I've often done now is when I'm trying to think about ways that I can help people, like I have to also mitigate my time. So for appointments, I usually have appointments from 11 to about 5 o'clock. Before that, I have to think strategically. I have to plan my day. And some of it is actually booking the social media stuff across different platforms. Now, I'll give you a little tip or trick of the trade, I guess you would say. Everyone wants to go on social media to be entertained, not to be judged, entertained, not to be lectured. So, if you are in the mode of trying to gain value or give value to customers, whether you're trying to sell them life insurance, annuities, whether you're trying to, solicit agents, there has to be a form of about 9 to 1, 9 being fun stuff that people want to see, to one being your value proposition. So when you post on stuff like social media, you're looking at 3 to 4 times a week. And then on top of that, most of it is anecdotal, a situation where you're trying to get more followers, more people to like it, so you have more visibility. So if you're not doing that, or you don't feel like that is something that you would do for your brand, that is totally fine. There's different ways to attack it. For example's sake, you can do emails. So with emails, the fun part about using software like this is you can actually see how many people it was delivered to, how many people it bounced from, how many people actually opened it, and how many people clicked on something that you put in there. So you can actually follow up with people from an action step standpoint. So if I send out an email to 400 or 500 people in my local area to say, hey, you should think about mortgage protection, and 30 people actually clicked on that. Now I have a warm lead and a prospect or opportunity to call up and say, hey, I noticed you checked out my email. Just want to introduce myself and just see, what you thought was enjoyable about that, or just gathering feedback to see if I can help you. And you can use this type of technology. And what I always say to people is there's no until someone actually says no, right? So if you have a customer who still hasn't responded to something you sent them a month ago, I would say you still have every right to send them a message, just checking in. Saw this article, made me think of you. Hope all is well, and then continue on that prospect process of continuing in front of them. Because how many people here have gotten a sale on your first conversation with a customer? Maybe once in a while, a lot of times if you get it on the first try, it means that they had some type of health issue and they need insurance, but now they can't qualify for it. So the idea is that as you build a database of people, then ultimately you want to make sure that you put them in a respective place where you can actually track and monitor. The big thing about this is a lot of us in this industry probably have ADD or ADHD because we're always trying to think of different ways to make money, trying to get in front of people and this and that. But I learned something through my corporate days of what they call slow down to speed up. When you slow down, you're more methodical, you are more strategic, allows you to speed up and make more money. So too many people jump from one thing to another because they're worried that this first thing that they started on isn't going to make any money when you need about a 6 to 8 month leeway time to see if it's actually going to work or not. And you have to keep refining it, keep refining it, keep refining it until you get to something where it's almost second nature or muscle memory, right? So I played hockey for 34 years, so you can see the jerseys behind. And so if I were to go and play hockey right now, I would still know how to do a breakout drill because I did it repetitively. So it's just stuff like that. You have to do the same thing with your marketing. You have to do the same thing with your follow-up. And you have to do the same thing with actually remembering who you talk to. Because I think everybody in this industry probably talked to about 20 or 30 people that they forgot about over the last month or so. And if they followed up, they'd probably make more money. But they didn't write down the names, they didn't log it, they didn't do anything. And then they move on because they're trying to get another prospect and forgot about that other person who you should still keep a hold of. So, setting up email campaigns, understanding the differences between just blasting stuff to people on product, but also being a lead source and a referral partner and a guru, if you will, of this industry is a difference, and that'll separate you from your competition. So, um, so yeah, stuff like this can also have your Calendly in it. So instead of you paying separate for Calendly to book stuff on your appointments, things like Go High Level do have that appointment setters and stuff like that. So before I got, recorded, I showed some people like appointments.valorfs. So I created 30-minute and a 60-minute Zoom, 30-minute and 60-minute phone call. So, or phone call, Zoom, whatever. So I can meet people where they want to be met. And everybody knows this. I do not actively drag people along with me. I will respect a hustler and I will give you any time you want. So from my standpoint to whoever's standpoint, wherever you're at in this situation, you book time on my calendar, I'm yours because it's open for people who I respect want to learn more. So I respect the hustle, but I'm not going to drag people along because it's not my place to try and make you money. You should have that fire and motivation to do that too. So having stuff like this readily available for people, so it's in my emails. Every email I send out has this, and I'm probably going to start putting little commercials or whatever inside of my emails as well, because you never know who's going to click on something in your signature, in your emails, or anything. So get worried about retirement, click here, and then have it lead to a funnel. And I call them funnel cakes because I didn't think of funnels as ways to bring people in, through sources until I learned more of the marketing stuff. I only heard of funnel cakes as a kid, the stuff at carnivals. Anyway, so um, hopefully, just to give you an idea around some of this stuff, there's a whole art to social media. There's a whole art to newsletters and sending out stuff. The big thing that I would say that can help you with stuff like that is ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is a great source to help people develop content. So as I was starting to do my content for this year, I was on vacation with the family. I was like, crap, I gotta put together like a calendar of different things to teach and train about. So I went to ChatGPT and I said, I am an insurance agency owner. I sell life insurance, annuities, long-term care, disability, and premium finance, things like that. I need to create a calendar for every Thursday at 4 o'clock with a subject to teach and train on, whether it's product, this and that. I have respective carriers that I also want to do carrier trainings and stuff like that. And something that I thought was going to take me 2 months to do took 2 minutes. It went and did everything. So, it's stuff like this helps you work smarter, not harder as well. So I don't know how many people have dabbled in the AI world. There is a bit of AI fatigue, and I'll show you and you'll probably be able to see it or pinpoint it. So AI, right? My virtual assistant did this. My virtual assistant did that. I did that. So you'll see differences, and some people can start to pinpoint or point out what AI can do. Now it can help, like this can definitely help you, but on the same breath, don't have it do everything for you, because then all of a sudden you're no different than anybody else. So use it as a tool to support, but also make sure you proof it, make it your own. But it can help you, like if I said here, make an email to send to my, let's just say 400 clients regarding life insurance and retirement planning, and just see what it says. So review your retirement plan. At Valor Financial Specialists, we believe in peace of mind. You can even go in and say, my company's name is Valor Financial Specialists. I'm going to put it in there and stuff like that. So again, 2 seconds, and you have something that you can deliver to people in your network. But you also have to build your network. That's the other thing. So I'll pause for a second. First off, I want to see, is this helpful? I don't want to talk to just talk, okay? So is this helpful? Is this good information? Something you may have learned new? You can either give a thumbs up if you're afraid to say yes, or, you know, a sad emoji face if you think it's bad. But any questions on stuff like this? Yeah, I got a thumbs up. I love it. Um, okay. So yeah, I mean, all right. Finally, I just that's my check-in to make sure if people are still awake because I see a lot of cameras off. So yeah, from the standpoint of kind of developing your craft, there's different ways to reach out to people. The big one that I'll say too, that I think a lot of people seem to forget is that you can actually go to people's place of business. So, marketing, I'll say, this is twofold, right? So you can do it electronically. You can like we have ways to, I guess you'd say, scrape data based off of a zip code. We can figure out different types of clientele or businesses and locations. It's called geo-targeted marketing, but nothing beats a face-to-face. So I'll give you a good example. I live about a mile down the road from a grocery store. There are five privately owned businesses in that same strip next to the grocery store. You got a nail salon, you got a dry cleaner, you've got a pizza place, you've got a sushi restaurant, and a veterinarian. So when it comes to marketing, there's still something old-fashioned about a business card. Walking in, just saying, "Hey, is the owner here? Wanted to compliment them on their business. I've come into the sushi restaurant all the time. I love getting X, Y, or Z. My family loves it too. Would love to just let you know that I'm local and would love to share a little bit of what I do to help successful people such as yourself plan for the retirement they deserve. Do you have 10 to 15 minutes to talk about it?" And so when you think about true marketing, the ways that people can do it in person will outweigh anything you do online. Okay, so that's why I say get in your community, understand what your community wants, and then grow from there. How can you do that? So, some success stories I've heard from people, aside from just going into the restaurant itself or the place of business and trying to talk to the owner. This is a funny one. I heard this from one of my other business partners. Literally walks in, got a nice watch, got a nice suit, everything, and went into like a higher class bar, right? So let's just say Ruth Chris, J. Alexander, whatever you want to say, and just sat at the bar and just started talking to people. And he's a registered investment advisor, and he got a Chick-fil-A owner as a client. And I don't know if you guys know this, but Chick-fil-A owners, there's a rigorous process to become a Chick-fil-A owner. The franchise fee is only like 10 grand, but you have to go through a whole process and they can elect to keep you in or kick you out because you're going to make probably about three to $400,000 a year. So what happened was he was just sitting at the bar. Just you could eat, you don't even have to drink. You can get a soda water with a lime, and it looks like a vodka soda. And then all of a sudden, these people would come up, shoot the breeze. So, what brings you in tonight? Oh, I just felt like getting out and having a good time, this and that. What do you do? This and that. And it's just the art of having a conversation. A lot of people, oh, see you next. A lot of people seem to forget that the art of the conversation is the best part. You ask a lot of questions, and that face-to-face or hand-to-hand combat, if you will, in our industry is simply having a conversation. I literally say to people, I get paid to BS, So going to an upscale bar or a restaurant or something like that. Other people, they rent office space, like I work out of my home, right? So I travel a lot. I go to different locations to meet up with some of my agencies and agents. But, part of me says, well, why don't I get an office here in Tennessee? Because there's these like you could rent a room and it could be a share space and you meet people there in the little lunchroom or whatever. And now all of a sudden it's another networking spot. So those are networking hubs. Golf courses, getting a membership at a golf course. If you can golf in the middle of the week, like on a Tuesday or Wednesday, middle of the day, you're probably doing okay. So stuff like that are just different places where if you're looking to start swimming upstream versus like, not, then those are kind of some suggested locations or opportunities. And I would also say referral partners is great. So I know there's some people on here who might work with other organizations that do numbers. We'll say CPAs, tax consultants. They know where all the money is. So when you talk about the standpoint of businesses, business owners, and prospecting, if you can create a lead source or a lead generation with someone who can use you as a referral partner, now all of a sudden they can participate in the opportunity. You can participate in talking to higher end clients, and it's a symbiotic relationship. So, a lot of times people seem to forget stuff like that is just creating bonds. I've personally found trying to get an estate attorney as a lead source usually doesn't work. The reason being the estate attorneys are usually so often sought out by insurance agents to get clients to write wills, trusts, revocable trusts, irrevocable trusts, whatever. So they usually would probably seek out us versus us seeking out them because all their clients come from a financial advisor or an insurance agent or something along those lines. So I would say an estate attorney is good to have in your pocket, but is not a good place to really truly prospect from. CPAs, um, are obviously a good one. And then you think about people in the real estate market. So one of the people on here is a big real estate person, and I know that she does very well at that. But typically, life insurance and real estate people go hand in hand. Commission-based positions often pollinization, cross-pollinizing. We'll go with that. Can occur in those areas too. So there's a lot of times where you can marry different relationships together for everybody to win. And it doesn't mean that you have to make money off of the other person's sale, right? Not everything has to have a dollar attached to it, but like I've referred off PNC to someone in my organization because I don't want to get a PNC license. PNC to me is like chasing a bunch of dimes and nickels when I could be chasing dollars and $100. So I'll let them handle that and create a stronger bond from a referral partner standpoint if they let me handle the insurance side and stuff like that too. So you just start creating different referral and bonding things. There's a video I saw of a guy who works with a lot of NFL players, and he talked about when the Colts won the Super Bowl, they wanted pizza from New Jersey. Well, he was in New Jersey and he literally flew it to the Colts team to give it to him. So, like when you talk about our business, we're in a referral first business, and we want to make sure that we have enough connections with people around us that people come to us for all their questions or a place of trusted resource. So, just another way of marketing yourself is making those valuable connections. And, I say there's no such thing as a bad conversation. So, if you walk into a CPA office, just to introduce them, what you do, and let them know that, you're interviewing CPAs to see if your top clients could be recommended to them. But at the same time, you're showing your value proposition for what they can hopefully, give back to you as well. So again, teamwork makes the dream work. So any questions on that? So we kind of talked about social media marketing. We talked about email marketing, face to face. Anything I'm missing that you guys have? Are you having an easy time getting prospects? What's kind of holding you up from stuff like that?
I think it's just conversations.
I would just say like approach it just like a one-on-one, just a non like a with especially with CPAs because they don't even know like I can just tell you they don't know exactly what their clients are missing. They
Hmm.
just know like that they're looking at their financials and it's making them nervous, or like they want somebody else to help to see
Yep.
that part of it. And so I think like just having a just like, hey, let's have coffee and talk about how we can work together, let's just talk, get to know
Hmm.
each other, because you're gonna find some that you like and some that you don't like, and they're gonna either like you or not like you. And so it's good to know.
Yep. I would say there's no such thing as a bad conversation. So if
Yeah.
you find out it's something you don't want to do, you move on. They move on, but I think also too, you kind of cut your teeth on how you want to build the conversation around the next time. You ever have those experiences where you, like as a kid, I would always have this. You someone talks trash about you at school, and you're like the next day in the shower, you're like, that's what I should have said. So you log that in. So, you know, that's the kind of stuff I think about. It's like, all right, so I lost out on this opportunity because I messed up, but will I make that same mistake again? Probably not. And that's why I think a lot of people nowadays are afraid to even try because they don't want to fumble up on the opportunity when you're gonna make a mistake. I mean, hands down, I'm 18 plus years and I'm still making mistakes. So I think a lot of people just have to understand that if you want to get out there and actually get a yes, you got to get your nose in first. So much like you say, Penny, it's like professional dating, right? You're trying to find that match where you can correlate and grow with them as opposed to a lot of the duds that are out there. Someone said it best, you're going to kiss a lot of frogs before you find your prince. So, and there's a lot of frogs out there. So, Michael, you were going to say something?
No, I think it's just like you're talking about conversations. I think you can have your website, you can have all those things, but if you're not having conversations, I think of those things really more not as even marketing, but just the credibility. So if somebody I had a conversation with like wants to check on me, like who's this person and looks me up,
Yep.
oh, okay, like they're legit. So I don't even look at it as a lead source. It's like, no, you're gonna generate conversations, you're gonna generate leads through conversations. Because you can build a funnel, but ultimately you got to put people at the top of the funnel. So, um,
Yep.
like funnel doesn't mean anything if you don't have people going into it, right? So, uh, but I think you hit on something too. Is people? One of the ways I put it is you have to have the right relationship with two F's, and that's fear and that's failure.
Hmm.
And I know there's people out there that'll tell you like fear is not real, but it's absolutely real. So it's just, do you have the right relationship with it? Um, and I think a perfect example, if you guys can Google this later on, just watch this clip. It's one of my favorite clips. There's a scene in one of the Dark Knight Batman movies, and he's in this pit, and he keeps failing. He has a rope to save him if he falls, and he keeps climbing up, and falling at this one specific jump. And the guy says, "You think you're strong because you're not afraid, but how else can you run faster than possible, jump higher than possible, last longer than possible without the strongest emotion on the planet?" And so he's saying it's not, you don't want to not be afraid. You just want to know how to use your fear.
Hmm.
You want to have the right relationship with it, not let it paralyze you, but actually use it. And then same thing with failure. I know Phil's hitting on that. Like you got to go make your mistakes. It's a prerequisite to winning.
Yep.
It's a part of winning. It's not the opposite of winning. It's a part of winning. And you have to recognize that and have the right relationship with that. So
Think of the back end too. A lot of people celebrate a little too early. So you finally make the sale. We have the most invasive product on the planet, so you have to convince someone to talk to you. Then you have to convince someone to give you all of their dirty secrets, whether financial or medical or both. And then after all is said and done, then they still have to buy the policy as long as the gross is worth the grief for them. So when you think about it, you have financial advisors who only care about your financials. You have doctors who only care about your health, and we're in the middle. So when you think about us, we have probably the most invasive thing. So it does rely on a lot of trust. And so if you can be that trusted partner, again, kissing all the frogs to try and find the right people that you mesh with, that opportunity leads to growth in your bubble with your people around you and things like that. And not a lot of people think that way because, and I've had a few agents like this, love them to death, but they're afraid that they're going to screw up in the next question or next response. And when I was working in phone sales, so as an internal wholesaler, Michael, that was a great question. I would rather find out the answer than give you the wrong information. If you don't mind, I'd like to call you back within, you know, 4 hours and get you the right answer. Don't say 30 minutes because your lead source or your mentor or whoever might be in the middle of something else, but set the expectation and then deliver on it too. Because if you say 4 hours and it's 4 days later, that's also a problem. So, you got to say what you mean and mean what you say. And that creates that bond and that partnership with the customer, with your business partner, with everybody. Because if you're just going to have pillow talk, as we like to say, it's going to just hurt you more than help you. So words don't mean anything unless there's action behind it. Some of the key phrases that I heard, growing up in this industry, half the game is showing up because most people in this industry won't show up. And so if you show up, you build your acumen, and there's a reason why 92% of people fail in this industry by year two. It's because they give up and they don't want to keep pushing through. It's almost like for me, it's losing weight, right? You hit that plateau, you keep hustling 2 weeks and your weight hasn't changed. Then all of a sudden you hit this marker and all of a sudden weight drops. Or in this case, you've been marketing, talking to a ton of people, and then one week you get one, two, three, four, five people will call you up and say, "Hey, let's sit down and talk." And this industry, you ride a lot of highs, you get through a lot of lows, and you just keep pushing forward because, the one thing that I associate with, so my favorite animal is a great white shark. Okay. Love it. Always loved it. Just baller. But the one thing, aside from these stupid killer whales that can kill a shark, is they stop swimming. So the minute you stop swimming, the shark dies. So we have to constantly move forward. I lost a $800,000 commissionable case earlier this year. I wasn't all 800,000. I was a small piece of it for helping with the point of sale. But after a year and a half of working with this client, he just said, once we got the offers, he's not interested anymore. Even though it was his delays for the year and a half to get there, he just became uninterested. And, I could sit there, I could sulk, or I got to keep moving and I got to keep finding the next person because you know when the next case is coming up or the next case. So that stuff will happen. If you want to feel better about yourself, just remember I lost out on almost $1 million this year in opportunity. Um, and just say, mine isn't so bad after all. But the idea is that if you don't get out there, like I did a lunch and learn today, and I talked about estate planning, high end estate planning, and a lot of the eyes just kind of glazed over, but you never know who you're going to talk to that has that opportunity. I'll uh I'll kind of end with this story, and if there's no other questions, we can kind of wrap for the evening. But again, we talk about marketing, and I'll share with you guys too. Myself and my other business partner, Roderick, we created Alternative Career Sports Academy. We deal with athletes, some high profile names. We also deal with kids in NIL situations. For those who don't know, name, image, and likeness. So kids today in high school are getting contracts that are more than what some of us will see in a 5 year span, or longer. These kids are getting tons of money with no representation. They don't know what they're doing. So I was in Texas and I was talking with one of my business partners. For those who don't know, I have a high Indian population group of agents, uh, and I was like, yeah, I was telling one of them about this, just, oh, I was on this call, we do this stuff, and he was intrigued. And I'm like, well, sweet guy, nice guy, probably doesn't know about football, but he's like, I know some people who know some people. For example's sake, one of his friends has a great relationship with the athletic director of Ole Miss. And we also have some other people in that circle, in that network. And we just talked to a 4-star athlete, which for those of you who don't know that, that means they can probably get a NIL contract for a 1 year contract at about $200,000 at a college just to play football. And if it wasn't for me just having that conversation with someone I didn't even think could fathom what we do, led to this conversation with this 4-star athlete. And so I encourage people to just say, the big thing in this, to put a bow on the marketing, find a niche that you're good at, or niche, however you want to say it. I say niche. I found out my son corrected me. He says it's niche, Dad. I was like, well, screw you. I don't care. So find the niche that works for you. Like, I love talking about business owners. I love talking about sport. Most of the United States loves talking about sport. So, there are different things that you can figure out what your niche is, and then just learn it. Continue to grow, continue to build on it, and you will market yourself as that expert. And all of a sudden, you'll get more and more opportunity. You get what you ask for, but you have to continue to learn and grow in that field to help you continue to grow. So, um, I know we're kind of at the hour. Did anyone have any questions, any comments, anything that you think might be advantageous? I don't think we should kind of do a complete turn and be like, Phil, can you show me how to run a LERP? But is there anything that you think might be advantageous at this point in the evening from the conversation standpoint, comments, questions, or anything like that? All right. I won't, I hate dead space. So, um, I want to say appreciate this, guys. What I would say is a mission for you guys. If you find value in this, don't be afraid to share with other people. I don't advertise these nightly meetings because if no one shows up, I can go spend time with my family. But on the flip side is I want to make sure that you guys are getting a value out of this. And if you think you're getting a value out of it and you have people you want to recruit to your agency, if you have, people in the industry you think would value this as well, stuff like that, feel free to bring them in. It's not just your valor, you know? Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say, Michael, dragging people along sometimes, right? Um, so it's always going to be that way, but if they don't make it, we still always have them posted on the YouTube channel at Valor Financial. Feel free to subscribe. There's over 150 videos at this point, and we'll continue to grow that. So my goal is to help people help their communities and love to get, partners along the way. So I would say if you're going to be here next week, share the registration link with other people so then they can get on it too and they can come get some useful information as well. And then again, tomorrow, I believe we have National Life Group talking about different things that they can offer at 4 o'clock Central. And with that, think about the different things that they can offer. They can offer 403Bs, they can offer defined benefit plans, they can offer annuities. So if you have someone who needs a Roth or an IRA, You can start at $100. You don't even need that minimum 5K or 10K that some carriers have. $100 a month. Not going to pay you much, but guess what? It's a value resource for you. Okay. And then they have their other products too. They use them with premium finance and stuff like that as well. So we'll have Marco on tomorrow as one of our carrier partners. For those who also work in the foreign national space, if they only have an I-10, no visa, no nothing, NLG can take them as well. So potentially even with non-med. So would love to see you guys tomorrow. Once again, if you think that's of value too, register for the 4 o'clock and also feel free to share it. It is for anybody. Obviously, there's better perks when you're part of the Valor umbrella, but we don't want to limit this to just us. We want to make sure that everyone can get some good information. So with that, I will say you guys have a great rest of your night. Appreciate you spending time with me here and look forward to seeing you next week. Same bad time, same bad schedule. So have a good night and we'll talk soon.